I'm Faith, I'm 29, and last month, my sister demanded $250,000 of my savings like it was her birthright. When I refused, she turned my entire family against me, so I bought a one-way ticket and left everything behind. Before I continue, please like this video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. You want to know what it feels like to be the family ATM? To spend your entire life working, sacrificing, saving every single penny while watching your sister blow through money like it's confetti at a wedding she can't afford? Let me paint you a picture of my childhood, because this story doesn't start with $250,000. It starts with a little girl who learned way too early that her needs would always come second. My sister, Lauren, is 3 years older than me. And from the moment I could form memories, she was the sun in our family's solar system. Everything revolved around her. Her feelings, her dreams, her drama, her constant, never-ending needs. I was the moon, I guess. Always there, always reflecting whatever light was left over, never quite mattering enough to be seen on my own. When Lauren wanted piano lessons, she got them. When I asked for art classes, I was told we couldn't afford it. When Lauren crashed Dad's car at 17, they bought her a newer one because she needed reliable transportation. When I asked to borrow the family car to get to my part-time job at 16, I was told I should take the bus because it builds character. You see the pattern? You see how it starts? My parents never called it favoritism. They called it supporting the one who needs it most. And Lauren always needed it most. She was dramatic, loud, emotional. She knew how to cry on cue, how to make herself the victim in every situation, how to manipulate every conversation until she got exactly what she wanted. And me? I was the easy one. The one who didn't complain. The one who figured things out on her own. The one who learned that asking for help was pointless because the answer was always no. So I stopped asking. I started working instead. My first job was at 14, babysitting for neighbors. By 16, I was working retail on weekends. By 18, I had 3 part-time jobs while attending community college because my parents had spent my college fund on Lauren's disastrous first year at a private university she dropped out of after 2 semesters. That's right. They spent my college fund on her failed college experience. And when I asked about it, my mother actually said, well, she needed a chance to find herself. What about me? Didn't I need a chance to find myself? Apparently not. Because I was the responsible one. The one who didn't need help. The one who would figure it out. And I did figure it out. I went to community college and worked full-time. I transferred to a state school and took out minimal loans that I paid off within 3 years of graduating. I lived with roommates in terrible apartments. I ate ramen and rice. I walked to save on gas. I bought clothes from thrift stores. I didn't go on vacations. I didn't buy expensive coffees. I didn't treat myself to anything because every single dollar went into 2 places, paying off my loans and building my savings. While I was doing this, you know what Lauren was doing? Living her best life. She moved to a trendy neighborhood in an expensive apartment she couldn't afford. She took trips to Bali, to Europe, to Mexico. She posted everything on Instagram with captions about living authentically and manifesting abundance. She started 3 different businesses, all of which failed within months. A boutique that sold overpriced crystals. A lifestyle blog that never gained traction. A wellness coaching business where she had 0 qualifications and even fewer clients. Every single time one of her ventures failed, she went crying to our parents. And every single time they helped her. They paid her rent. They covered her credit card bills. They gave her loans that everyone knew would never be repaid. And every single time, I watched this happen while sitting in my modest apartment, eating my budget meals, working my tail off. By the time I was 27, I had saved $180,000. By 28, it was $220,000. By this year, at 29, I had reached $250,000. $250,000. Money I earned through a combination of my full-time job in tech, freelance work on the side, smart investing, and living well below my means for over a decade. This wasn't inheritance. This wasn't luck. This was blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice. And my sister? At 32, she had debt. Credit card debt. Personal loan debt. She had moved back in with our parents 6 months ago after being evicted from her apartment. She was working part-time at a juice bar and spending her evenings crying about how unfair life was to her. I kept my savings private. I didn't talk about money with my family because I learned early that any success I had was either minimized or turned into an obligation. But my mother, being the boundary-crossing person she is, somehow found out. Maybe she saw a bank statement when she was visiting. Maybe she overheard a phone call with my financial advisor. I don't know. But she found out and she told Lauren. That's when everything exploded. It was a Saturday morning. I was in my apartment, actually having a peaceful morning for once, drinking coffee and reading when I heard pounding on my door. Not knocking. Pounding. Like someone was trying to break it down. I opened it and there stood Lauren, with both my parents right behind her. My mother looked determined. My father looked uncomfortable but complicit. And Lauren looked like a woman on a mission. "We need to talk," Lauren announced, pushing past me into my apartment without being invited. My parents followed, and suddenly my peaceful Saturday was obliterated by the 3 people who had spent my entire life making me feel like I was never enough. About what? I asked, though something in my gut already knew. About the fact that you've been hoarding money while your own sister struggles, Lauren said, and I swear to you, she said it with a straight face. Like my money was somehow being kept from her. Like I had stolen it from her piggy bank. I haven't been hoarding anything, I said calmly, though my heart was already racing. I've been saving money that I earned. $250,000, my mother said, and the way she said it, with this accusatory tone, made my blood boil. You have $250,000 just sitting there while Lauren is drowning. Drowning in her own choices, I said, and I know that sounded harsh, but I was so tired. So tired of this pattern. So tired of being expected to fix problems I didn't create. How dare you, Lauren hissed, and here come the tears. Right on schedule. I've been struggling for years, working so hard to build something, and you've just been sitting there watching me suffer. You've always been jealous of me. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. Jealous? Of what? Of her debt? Of her failed businesses? Of her complete inability to take responsibility for her own life? I'm not jealous of you, Lauren, I said. I've been working my entire life while you've been playing entrepreneur with money you don't have. Girls, my father said weakly, and I turned to him with fury I didn't know I had. No, Dad. You don't get to girls this. You get to sit there and listen for once. Do you have any idea what my life has been like? Do you have any idea how hard I've worked? How many nights I stayed up working multiple jobs? How many times I said no to things I wanted because I was building my future? And that's exactly why you need to help your sister. My mother cut in. You're single. You don't have kids. You don't have the responsibilities Lauren has. Lauren doesn't have kids either, I shouted. And what responsibilities? Living rent-free in your house? Working part-time at a juice bar? I have a business plan, Lauren said, pulling out her phone like she was about to present to investors. I've been working on it for months. It's a wellness retreat center. But I need capital to get started. I need $250,000. And there it was. Not some of my savings. Not a loan with terms. All of it. She wanted every single penny I had worked for over more than a decade, so she could start another business that would inevitably fail because she had no discipline, no follow-through, and no understanding of what it actually takes to succeed. No, I said. Just like that. Simple. Clear. No. The room went silent. You could hear the clock ticking on my wall. You could hear the traffic outside. You could hear my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. What did you just say? My mother asked, like I had just spoken a foreign language. I said no. That money is mine. I earned it. And I'm not giving it to Lauren for another business that will fail. You selfish bitch, Lauren spat, and my mother didn't correct her. My father didn't defend me. They just stood there, united in their belief that I was the villain in this story. That money could change my life, Lauren continued, her voice rising. And you're just going to sit there and let me suffer? What kind of sister are you? The kind who learned to take care of herself because no one else would, I said, and my voice cracked. I have watched you get everything your entire life. Every opportunity. Every bit of support. Every second chance. Meanwhile, I got lectures about responsibility. I got told to figure it out. I got told that I was the easy one, the one who didn't need help. So I stopped asking for help and I built something for myself. And now you want to take it from me like you've taken everything else. We never took anything from you, my father said quietly, and I turned to him with tears streaming down my face. You took my college fund and gave it to her. You took every bit of attention I ever needed and gave it to her. You took every moment I might have felt seen or valued and made it about her instead. And now you want to take the one thing I've built for myself and hand it over like it means nothing. Honestly, moments like that made me wonder if kindness is even worth it. If you've ever felt taken advantage of by your own family, please subscribe, or at least tell me in the comments why you wouldn't. I'm genuinely curious. You're being dramatic, my mother said, dismissing decades of pain with 4 words. Family helps family. That's what we do. Then where were you when I needed help? I asked. Where were you when I was working 3 jobs and going to school full-time? Where were you when I was eating ramen every night because I was paying off loans? Where was this family helps family energy then? You never asked, my mother said, and I wanted to scream. I shouldn't have had to ask. You're my parents. You should have seen me struggling and helped without being asked. But you didn't because all you could see was her. I can't believe how selfish you've become, Lauren said, shaking her head like she was the reasonable one. You have more money than you know what to do with, and you won't even help your own sister. Fine. I'll remember this. When you need something someday, don't come crying to me. I won't, I said firmly. I haven't needed you for anything my entire life. Why would I start now? She stormed out, sobbing dramatically. My parents gave me looks of pure disappointment, like I had just committed an unforgivable sin, and followed her out. My mother paused at the door. You're dead to this family until you help your sister, she said, and then she left. I stood in my apartment, shaking, and realized that I had just been disowned for refusing to hand over money I had earned, for setting a boundary, for saying no. Within an hour, my phone started exploding. The family group chat, which I had always hated, became a war zone. My aunts, uncles, cousins, people I barely talked to, suddenly had opinions about what I should do with my money. Messages poured in calling me selfish, greedy, heartless. Telling me that family sticks together. That I owed Lauren. That I was lucky to have that money and should share it. Lucky. They called me lucky. Like luck had anything to do with it. My cousin Jessica, who hadn't spoken to me in 3 years, sent me a private message. I always knew you were cold, but this is disgusting. Your sister is suffering, and you're just sitting on money, like a dragon on gold. You should be ashamed. My uncle Ron, who had borrowed $5,000 from me 2 years ago and never paid it back, sent. Family is supposed to support each other. Real disappointed in you. The hypocrisy was suffocating. These people who had never supported me, never celebrated my successes, never checked on me when I was struggling, suddenly had so much to say about what I should do with my money. And then Lauren posted on Facebook a long, detailed post about how her sister, me, had refused to help her in her darkest hour. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew. She talked about how she had a sister who had been blessed with financial success but refused to extend a hand to family. She made herself the victim and me the villain, and people ate it up. Comments poured in supporting her, calling her strong, saying they'd pray for her. Some people who knew me personally sent messages asking if it was true. I didn't respond. What was the point? The truth didn't matter. The narrative was set. Someone I still don't know who even called my job and reported that I was emotionally unstable and creating a hostile environment, trying to get me fired. HR called me in for a meeting, and I had to explain that I was dealing with a family situation. Thankfully, they were understanding, but the fact that someone tried to sabotage my career because I wouldn't give away my money was a new low. I spent that night sitting on my bathroom floor, crying harder than I had cried in years. All the pain I had pushed down for decades came flooding up. Every time I was overlooked. Every time I was told I was too sensitive. Every time I worked myself to exhaustion while Lauren was praised for just showing up. Every time I swallowed my hurt and tried to be the good daughter, the good sister, the one who didn't make waves. And I realized something that broke me and freed me at the same time. They never saw me as a person. They saw me as a resource, a backup plan, a safety net for Lauren's messes. I was never their daughter or sister in the way that mattered. I was a bank account with a heartbeat. I picked myself up off that bathroom floor and made a decision. I opened my laptop and started searching. Not for advice on how to fix my family. Not for ways to make them understand. I searched for flights. For new cities. For places where no one knew my name or my story or how much money I had saved. I looked at my bank account. $250,000. Untouched. Mine. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about it. I felt powerful. Because this money represented my freedom. My choices. My future. And I wasn't going to let anyone take that from me anymore. I found a small coastal town across the country. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere peaceful. Somewhere I could breathe without the weight of other people's expectations crushing my chest. I booked a one-way ticket for 3 days later. And honestly, the only people who encouraged me to put myself first were strangers online. If you're still watching, please subscribe. And if not, tell me in the comments why you chose not to. It helps the channel grow, either way. I spent the next 2 days packing. Not everything. Just what mattered. Clothes, my laptop, important documents, a few sentimental items that were actually mine and not tied to painful memories. I packed light because I wanted to leave the weight behind. I wrote a note. Short. Simple. I'm choosing myself. Don't look for me. I left it on my kitchen counter. I didn't know them more than that. They had made their choice when they told me I was dead to them. So, I was making mine. The morning I left, I woke up before dawn. The city was quiet. I took one last look at my apartment, the place I had built my life in, and I didn't feel sad. I felt relief. I called a car to take me to the airport. I turned off my phone. And I left. The flight felt surreal. I sat in my window seat, watching the sun rise above the clouds, and I cried. But these tears were different. They weren't tears of pain or grief or anger. They were tears of release. Every mile I flew was a mile further from the toxicity that had defined my entire life. I landed in a small airport I'd never been to before. Rented a car. Drove to the coastal town I'd chosen. Found the small apartment I'd rented online sight unseen. And when I walked in and saw the ocean through the window, I broke down sobbing again, because I had never felt peace like this. For 72 hours, I kept my phone off. I walked on the beach. I sat in small cafes. I read books. I slept without nightmares. I woke up without dread. I existed without anyone demanding anything from me. When I finally turned my phone back on, there were 247 messages. Voicemails. Emails. All from my family. I scrolled through them, watching the progression. First, anger. How dare you leave without telling us where you're going? Then guilt. We're your family. How could you do this to us? Then manipulation. Your sister is having panic attacks because of you. And finally, fake concern. We're worried about you. Please just tell us you're safe. But nowhere in those 247 messages was an apology. Nowhere was an acknowledgement of how they had treated me. Nowhere was a recognition that maybe, just maybe, they had pushed me too far. I read every single one. And then I deleted them all. Not blocked. Deleted. Because I wanted to see if they would continue. And they did. My mother sent an email with the subject line, "Family Emergency." I opened it. It read, "Your sister is in crisis and needs you to come home and do the right thing. Stop being childish and think about someone other than yourself for once." The right thing. After 29 years of doing the right thing by everyone else's standards and never my own, they still had the audacity to tell me what the right thing was. I didn't respond. I started building a new routine instead. I found a local coffee shop that made the best lattes I'd ever tasted. I started going on morning runs along the beach. I joined a yoga class where no one knew my history. I was just Faith. Not Faith, the disappointment. Not Faith, the selfish sister. Just Faith. I started freelancing more, working remotely from my new apartment. I made more money, actually, because I wasn't emotionally drained all the time. I had energy for my work, creativity, focus. Things I had been missing for years while dealing with family drama. The messages continued for weeks. My sister sent some herself. I can't believe you abandoned me like this. After everything we've been through. Everything we've been through? What had we been through together except a lifetime of her taking and me giving? Another. Mom and Dad are heartbroken. You're destroying this family. I wasn't destroying anything. I was removing myself from a family that had already destroyed me piece by piece. And then, fine. If you want to be alone for the rest of your life, be alone. But don't come crawling back when you realize you have no one. I read that one, and I smiled. Because she was wrong. I did have someone. I had myself. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. I'm rebuilding my life from scratch, and honestly, if you're someone who believes people deserve peace, hit subscribe. Or tell me why you won't. I'm reading every comment. It's been 2 months now since I left. I've made friends here. Real friends who like me for who I am, not what I can give them. I've gone on dates. I've laughed without guilt. I've spent money on myself, actual money, on things I want, without feeling like I'm stealing from someone else. My parents still email occasionally, always with some variation of, "When are you coming home?" But this town, this life, this peace, this is home now. That other place was just where I survived. This is where I'm living. Lauren sent one last message a week ago. I heard you're doing well out there, living your best life, while I'm here struggling. I hope you're happy.
And you know what?
I am. For the first time in 29 years, I actually am happy. Not the performative happiness I used to fake for family gatherings. Real happiness. The kind that settles into your bones and makes you grateful to wake up each morning. I realize now what I should have realized years ago. Family isn't who drains you. Family isn't who shows up only when they need something. Family isn't who makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries or living your own life. Family is who celebrates your success instead of resenting it. Family is who respects your no. Family is who doesn't punish you for choosing yourself. By that definition, those people weren't my family. They were people I was related to by blood, but blood doesn't mean you owe someone your peace, your money, or your life. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe one day my parents will apologize. Maybe Lauren will finally take responsibility for her choices. Maybe we'll reconcile on terms that are healthy and equal. But maybe not. And I've made peace with both possibilities. What I do know is this. I'm never going back to being the person who sets herself on fire to keep other people warm. I'm never going back to being invisible in my own life. I'm never going back to believing that my needs matter less than someone else's wants. That $250,000 is still sitting in my bank account, growing with smart investments. It's my security, my freedom, my future. And I'll spend it or save it or invest it according to my plans, my dreams, my timeline. Not anyone else's. If you're watching this and you're in a similar situation, if you have family members who treat you like an ATM, if you're exhausted from being the responsible one while everyone else gets to be reckless, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect what you've built. You are allowed to choose yourself. And you are not selfish for having boundaries. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done. But staying would have destroyed me. And I matter too much to let that happen. So here I am, Faith, 29 years old, living in a town where nobody knows my history, building a future where I'm the main character in my own story instead of a supporting character in someone else's. And I've never felt more free. This is my revenge. Not against them, but for me. My revenge is my peace. My revenge is my happiness. My revenge is living well without their permission or approval. And that's worth more than $250,000 could ever buy.